It is super interesting that over the last few weeks, the attention in Kenyan politics has shifted away from open the server, maandamano, to an age-old favorite political discussion in Kenya, which is corruption. Now we have been discussing corruption for decades. Note, we have been discussing, but doing very little against it, or making any serious attempts to stop it. We even have a government agency, a public agency, which is designed to fight corruption. But nothing is changing. Nothing has changed. Indeed, corruption is getting worse. And I believe we're all very aware that corruption is not limited to any side of the political divide. It cuts right across. And in a minute, I will give you very clear evidence proving this. Because a lot of youngsters out there are very easy to fool with the terse statements from the government promising to fight corruption. Like the latest one from head of the public service, Felix Koske. Yeah. A few moments ago, I saw a statement reproduced in one of our local newspapers, one of our local dailies, that just made me laugh. Now, I know this is a very serious issue, but I just had to laugh. Why did I laugh? Because in the very strongly worded statement, also included was a photograph of Bwana Koske looking very serious. Serious, we're going to fight corruption. What? Oh, this statement is funny, very funny, but also very sad. Because it is being released in a backdrop where recently we are being told there are quite a number of people close to the William Samoei Ruto government who before the elections were living in Syokimau. Yeah, that's in the outskirts of Nairobi, close to a place called Athi River. Houses in this place are cheap. There's been a lot of Chinese construction. Yeah. Indeed, in the year 2015-2016, there were actually bed sitters for sale for under $1 million in this area. And so after Ruto came into power, the same CSs are purchasing homes in Karen. Now, financially speaking, it is a very long way from Syokimau to Karen. It is like Nairobi, London, Nimbali. Yeah. And these people achieved that milestone in months, because this government has not even been in power for a year. So where did they get the money? Where did they get the money? Walishinda lottery? So many of them at the same time? Or where exactly did this money come from? Well, it's pretty obvious. It came from corruption. Bwana Kosge's statement also comes out at a time when somebody leaked out, somebody known to give very accurate, spot-on information, leaked out a WhatsApp discussion between a well-known senator close to the UDA government and people you were supposed to protect. And this senator was asking for 3 million in bribe money. Okay? Let me give you another quick example. You know there's a saying, the devil is in the details. There is a politician called Oscar Sudi. Now review all the clips, review all the videos, review all the photographs of Bwana Sudi before the elections, or is it the selections, of August 9th, 2022. And then look at the photograph on your screens right now. The man has changed his dressing. So what has changed? What has changed? Huh? The man seems to have completely overturned his wardrobe, gotten a complete new wardrobe. From shoes, or shall I say from head to toe, unamwangalia, unaona pesa. Bottom line, in my opinion, it is a waste of time. It is a waste of breath. It is a waste of going to court, purporting to fight corruption in Kenya. You will not win. You will not manage. Let me give you a quick brief story to illustrate what I'm saying. In 2003, the National Rainbow Coalition government, the most popularly elected government in the history of Kenya, and probably the only legally, genuinely elected government in our history, apart from the Independence Parliament, a government led by Mwai Kibaki, as it swept into power, the clarion call of that government was zero tolerance to corruption. Now, strangely enough, here zero tolerance to corruption is a phrase that has re-emerged, this time in the statement of Felix Koskei, head of the public service. In that statement, accompanied by a photograph where he's looking very serious. Anyway, as Mwai Kibaki swept into power, there is evidence to suggest that he seriously tried to deal with this corruption monster. One of the first things the Mwai Kibaki administration did was to commission something called the Kroll Report. I covered this extensively in my Kumekucha blog at the time. Now, those who thought corruption in Kenya was serious, were still shocked when they read the Kroll Report. Somebody had even registered a company, called the Republic of Kenya. Of course, the implications of this is that a check written out to the Kenyan government, maybe even by donors, would go straight into this individual account. In the same Kroll Report was a super fascinating scene, fit to appear in any Hollywood blockbuster movie, of President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi still in power. I believe this was sometime in 2002, before the elections later that year. Moi went to Switzerland with his favored son Gideon Moi, and they were moving from bank to bank in a small taxi with no security detail following them. They looked like just ordinary Africans in Switzerland. And they were driving from bank to bank to bank. What was their mission? They were changing the particulars, the details of the account holder from father to son. What? And these funds, of course, were corruption funds from Kenya. Taxpayers' money from Kenya, stashed away in Swiss accounts. It was also in the Kroll Report that I first discovered, and remember I was a man always with an ear to the ground, that the way sugar was imported into the country, ships would dock offshore, speedboats would be sent, and casuals would be hired to offload the sackloads of sugar on the beach and load them onto lorries. No customs check, no duty, nothing. Just get sackloads of cheap sugar, from the beach, which are then sold to Kenyans at the usual price. What? And of course, the man who was in charge of this operation was one of the main financiers of Daniel Toroitich arap Moi's presidential campaigns, both in 1992 and 1997. I mean, the Kroll Report was just sad, and that is an understatement. So fast forward to the present, nothing has changed. In fact, corruption today, under the William Samoei Ruto government is on steroids. Or shall we say it has gone viral? Corruption in Kenya today has gone viral. And that one is very clear for everybody to see. But there's nothing you and I can do. Utadu? What are you going to do? Now, this problem is more complex, more complicated by a few very clear, glaring facts. Now, in 2003, after Mwai Kibaki was completely defeated to fight this monster called corruption, one would have thought that the least that the Kibaki government would have done would have been to expose and take at least a few people to court, so that Kibaki has the legacy of he did something. He started the fight against corruption. He was the most serious president to do that. Nothing like that happened. And it is for a very simple reason, which still is very applicable today. Let's take the perfect example from the present. Now, since the William Samoei Ruto administration took over, they have been telling us that former President Uhuru Kenyatta went away with sackloads of cash. Hakuna pesa, Uhuru alimaliza pesa yote. Okay, fair enough. Now, the next logical thing they should have done is to prosecute all those who are involved in corruption under the Uhuru Kenyatta administration, starting with something called the SGR, quickly moving on to something called Eurobond, because these politicians have all the information. They know exactly where all that money went. So they should have started, if they were serious about fighting corruption, they should have started by prosecuting those ones. But you know why they didn't prosecute it? It's very simple. Let's just imagine a situation. Okay, let's take the SGR people to court. Okay, who are the chief suspects? Number one, that is a UDA person. Number two, UDA person. Number three, Uhuru guy. Okay, let's focus on that one. Let's take him to court. But sir, tukipeleka huyu mtu kotini, you cannot delink him in evidence from suspect number one and suspect number two. Both of them are in the mix. Okay, hiyo wachana naye. Let's move on to Eurobond. Eurobond wachana naye. Hiyo ni sisi. Then a naive small financial analyst in the group shoots back and says, Allah, how was UDA involved in the Eurobond? You people didn't have any power in government. We nyamaza. Then somebody else in the group says, remember Jacob Juma? Of course, this youngster hates history. He has no idea who that is. But you get my drift. Bottom line, this is a situation where a person who is filthy, dirty, full of mud from head to toe is trying to clean somebody else. How will that work? Even if you use water and omo, how are you going to make that person clean? Some of the dirt from yourself will fall on them. So that is the big tragedy in Kenya. But I have some good news for you. And I know most of you will not believe it. We are in the season of judgment. And I'm telling you, corruption is very high in the list of the sins of Kenya that must be judged. Why? Let me just give you one example, not two, one. Corruption steals donated medicine and medical equipment that was supposed to go to a small village dispensary. Okay? And as a result, children in that village who should not have died end up dead. Where does the blood of those children go to demand justice from Almighty God? On whose doorstep will it land? It will land on the doorstep of the cartels. Folks, you don't need to believe me. But one day, in the very, very near future, corruption in government in Kenya will be kwisha maneno. But as we all know, exposure comes before judgment. So before we reach there, you will hear things that will not only make your ears ring, lakini utaenda choo ulie the whole day. Alafu urudi, uangalie tena na urudi kwa choo kulia. You see, in Kenya today, it does not matter how you make your money. No. What matters is that you have a lot of it. And indeed, I totally understand. Yeah, I don't excuse it. I don't say it is good. I hate it. But I totally understand. Let me explain. As a youngster growing up, some of our family friends, or shall I say most of our family friends, were people involved in corruption. People very close to government. Indeed, one of these families approached my late political lecturer. At the time, people were taking oaths in Ichaweri, and advised him, why are you struggling so much for these promotions? It is very easy. All these frustrations can stop. All you need to do is to take an oath to support the Jomo Kenyatta government, and then your things will go nywee. Of course, my late political lecturer declined, and he paid a very heavy price for declining. But as a youngster, I didn't see these things. I didn't notice them. I didn't understand. I was just very upset. And in my mind, I was telling myself, my political lecturer has no brains. Because my friends had color TVs very early on, when we were still watching that tiny small Great Wall TV. And I was saying to myself, what is wrong with us? Our friends had very flashy cars, our family friends. My political lecturer was driving an old, smoking, yani natoa smoke nyingi sana, Peugeot 504 station wagon. So as we were taken to school, our family friends arrive in style. Mercedes-Benz latest. And it always used to happen. The old, very smoking 504 Peugeot was stuck in traffic between a Mercedes hapa mbele and a very flashy other car behind. So these other kids are getting out of those flashy cars. Me, I have to struggle with the door. It's not even opening properly. I have to roll down the window and open the door from outside. And I'm asking myself, when will this dad of mine see the light? This is too much. It is even better I walk to school. Ish. But it pleased Almighty God. I lived long enough to see how these flashy car people ended up. One of them drank himself to death. He always seemed to be scared. He would not get any sleep. He would be on whiskey until 4 a.m. in the morning, and then sleep the whole day, and then rinse and repeat. As soon as he woke up at 4 p.m., he's on his whiskey again. My dad would fall asleep before his head hit the pillow, and he would snore very loudly. Very loudly. He had no problem getting his sleep. He enjoyed his retirement, and most importantly, he left a legacy. He left a generation that was educated, brought up, bought clothes, bought stuff, without a single penny coming from corruption. Now, those who are spiritual will understand the significance of that, which I appreciate to this day, and thank Almighty God with all my heart. Now, I'm not naive. I know we have very many people on this channel, probably the vast majority, who are where they are today because of corruption money. But I've got good news for you. It's very easy. You must urgently delink yourself, cut yourself off from that corrupt, dirty lineage. Yeah, and link yourself to the clean lineage of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Messiah. You'll probably need to fast as you pray. Yeah. But there's a lot of information, even on the internet, although you have to be careful, that will help you delink, cut yourself off from that generation. Because that generation will have curses following them. And this is important to do because it will affect your dear children, and their children, and their children's children. Folks, corruption is serious. The only problem is that you don't see the downside, the very terrible downside. Better to be born and die poor. You don't see the terrible downside. Sometimes even up to the day you leave this earth. Some of us were just lucky. We're able to see with our own eyes the downside. Na mambo bado. Because we are in the season of judgment. And nobody's going to escape. Even those of us who think we're in the right lineage, we need to pray for preservation. Oh yes. Because your lineage may be clean, but you yourself, what have you done? What did you do to somebody's daughter? What did you do in the office 10 years ago? Yeah. That tempting deal to steal from your employer, etc., etc. Ogopa. Tena ogopa sana. Because we're in the season of judgment. Hata mimi naogopa, tena naogopa sana. Every day I'm reviewing my life. Yeah. And the things I have done that I should not have done. The things I've done that are now due for judgment. Folks, I don't need to apologize. You come here to hear nothing but the truth. And that is what I always try to give you, without any sugar coating. And so accept my very sincere apologies for messing up your day. But I don't have an iota of guilt, because it is for the greater good. It is for your good. It is for my good. One day, most probably not in this life, you will be grateful. And so those who are buying homes in Karen, let them continue buying the homes. Those corruption cartels in government, let them even increase their corruption. Let them take it a notch higher. Yeah. And when the press discovers some scandal and somebody needs to insult the media, let them insult the media even more. Those insults which have come out, they are not enough. Ongeza volume. Ongeza insults. Because we know for sure what is coming next. What is coming next in the country called Kenya? I know you don't have to believe me. I know I'm sounding very funny. I'm sounding crazy. Chris, what have you been smoking? I know. You know, experience is beautiful. And I thank Almighty God. Because I was there when I was saying Kenya is going to get a new constitution. Wapende waspende. And people were laughing. People were calling me a dreamer. I guess if I was in this generation and I get that kind of response, ningekimbia kwa choo kulia, and then I'd have come back and insulted everybody. Yeah. I didn't do that, although I confess I came back and typed back angry responses, telling people to wait and see, insisting to people that I was right. But then with the benefit of hindsight and with the benefit of experience, I won't do that now. I will just relax and wait for something which I'm sure is coming. Now, very quickly before I go, Don't forget to make sure you get your hands on WIB number 110. It was a bit late in being released, but within the next few hours, everybody should have it in their inboxes. And those who have already seen it, they know ni moto kuliko pasi ya makaa. Now I have an amazing offer dedicated to the young people of Kenya. And it is an offer that will be around strictly only for 72 hours. Of course, I'm not going to ask you for your age when you take advantage of this offer. I won't. I'm just saying it's dedicated to the hustlers, to the younger Kenyans who are determined to understand their country and to make a difference. For only $14.95, you'll be able to get my set of videos on how to prosper in a gloomy economy. And then you'll also be able to get at the same time 1 year's subscription to my weekly intelligence briefings. Double. For only $14.95, you will get both. How to prosper and my WIBs. 1 full year subscription. I believe you can see details of that off on your screen. Take full advantage of it. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and interacting with you on the other side in my very hot, sensitive WIBs, and also in this documentary set of videos that will make a huge difference, I'm very sure, as we head where we're heading, as we continue on this journey of economic hardships. In fact, mambo bado. Because these videos are all about the opportunities you can take that will make things very different. Vitu kwa ground zitakuwa tofauti sana as far as you're concerned. And it's not based on myths. It's not based on theories. It is based on even what has already happened before in history when things have gone south in a country. Okay? It is proven. All for a better Kenya. My friends, all for a better Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.